Benny's a... Enter chamber!
Not that there's anything wrong with this place, it's just, a bit of a step down from the palace.
You know, it's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't in earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Okay, what?
We ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags. I used to have a much wider range. Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
Oh, sounds like you're really struggling to cope.
How rude! Questioning my cooking skills. The audacity! It's not like I have a very eventful life these days. Actually, I barely leave the house. So I don't see how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too. Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre focilor or blubber profiteroles in no time, if I felt so inclined.
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just to ogle at my fall from grace. Let me first be clear that I'm not taking guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be on your way. Shoo!
Sorry! We're sorry! Please don't be mad! Yeah, exactly! What the traveler said! Paimon wasn't trying to make fun of you. Hang on a sec, you weren't exactly holding back either.
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the mighty Hydro Archon.
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help!
Oh? Well, so tell me, what specifically? I see. After all, but...
How come?
True. Although I am no longer required to century, of course, that can't be undone. But at least I can say that
Paimon can but...
However, it's if I make an exception to the rule now, so I'm not going to perform.
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any fan. Do you know any other actors who might be interested in the role?
Nope.
Short and to the point, okay.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever worked with probably couldn't wait to get rid of me. Since I'm just an ordinary person now, they'll probably just laugh in my face if I go asking them. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I drew a line in the sand without thinking about every possible grain on the other side.
Well, is there anything else we can do? This performance really means a lot to the guy we're working for.
Have I not made myself clear? You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who would. Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish I could help, really. But if I thought I had the answer to this problem, I would have said so by now.
It's all right, Farina. Paimon just wanted to make sure we tried everything. Oh, everyone in the troop will be so disappointed. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now. All right then, we'll see you around, Farina.
Toodaloo to you too. I'm going home to take a rest now.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Farina's decision. Maybe the thought of
Off we go! Adventure time!
I'll think about it.
Huh? What's going on? Are they arguing?
That's besides the point. I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a step back?
You didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring up.
And that gives you the right to make a decision on my behalf?
Shortly after you left, the troop's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. She believes that she's healthy enough to perform. Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding. So, how did your conversation with Farina go?
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she wasn't having it. She doesn't want to play the role for personal reasons.
I see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You see, our leading lady has just informed me that she's well enough to make it to the show after all. Staging the musical with the full original cast was always the dream, of course.
Oh, right! Sounds like everything worked itself out then. Yeah, she'd be livid. We'd get the scolding of a lifetime.
Jeez, is Lady Farina really so harsh with people?
Only joking, calm down. So, guess we can consider this case closed now, huh? Despite the fact that we failed to complete the commission, we were still racking our brains for ideas on the way back here.
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear, so I'll stop looking for a replacement. This is the last chance we have, though. If your illness flares up again, there won't be time to find anyone to replace you. So, are you absolutely sure you'll be able to handle it? The whole team is putting everything they have into this final performance. We have to make sure it goes ahead.
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I'll definitely be able to tough it out until the performance day. I share everyone's desire to commemorate all our years as a troupe with a proper farewell show. So the last thing I want is to be left out. Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their home, myself included.
You're right. I'm sorry. I let myself get too worried about the show. I should have asked for your permission first.
All's well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on. Sure.
Hey, how did you... I was just passing by because I realized I forgot a couple of items on my shopping list. Alright, I'm coming. No need to drag me. Hello, one and all. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation just now.
Farina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you doing here?
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. Yes, a teensy bit concerned, that's all. When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position and said some strongly worded things. And all before I even had a full grasp of the situation. Anyway, I just feel a bit bad about how it went down. I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that
You really have a knack for asking the most uncomfortable questions, don't you? I felt very sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then, to make matters worse, you caught me. But in any case, it sounds like the issue has already been resolved.
Yeah. When they said they were gonna ask for your help, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, how could we be worthy of having Lady Farina star in our show?
There's no need to think like that, and no need to keep addressing me as Lady. Just Farina is fine. I was wondering, if this troupe is so important to all of you, why does it have to disband? If the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for instance. Everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm sure if you keep chipping away, you'll find a way through.
We all want to believe that, but some things are just beyond our control. Everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of our troupe. She kept us going.
Her name was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe. And tragically, she was a victim in the serial disappearances case.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that the true culprit was brought to justice. But still, no sentence can bring our director back to us.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Farina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She rallied many people around her who were destitute or had lost their sense of purpose in life, and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored each and every one of us. People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength. Things were really looking up for us.
And then disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troupe fell into disarray. None of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can. But despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely falling apart. It's agonizing. But ultimately, we'd rather end things now on our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and watch all our dreams turn to dust.
Oh.
What a terrible waste. A gifted artist from humble beginnings, who achieved so much and no doubt had much more to give. And then her life was so cruelly taken. I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being your farewell to the stage, is also your final gift for her?
Yes, exactly. We all miss her terribly.
Well, good thing I followed the traveler here. After hearing this tragic tale, I can no longer stand by and do nothing.
Farina?
I know what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer looking for a replacement anyway. I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience member. But only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, most definitely! We'll take any guidance that you can give.
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though. Will that be a problem?
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director. Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the Opera Epiclese is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything from on high. The law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the question of criminal liability, but what about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? What happens to them? An interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion shall ultimately return home to the heart and slowly settle with the passage of time. Take, par exemple, how this troupe pines for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before, and so I should like to observe, perchance to understand.
Huh. Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just back in. Ah, the name's not Swine, it's Paimon!
Would you be willing to join me? Come on, take a break from adventuring to listen to a story.
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss Farina's performances, as of course we all are. Alright, follow me. We'll go to our usual practice space. Please excuse the size. It's a little on the smaller side.
we go!
Lady Farina? Allow me to explain. As of today, Miss Farina will be supporting our production of The Little Oceanid in the role of artistic consultant. These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Farina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no introduction.
You bet! That was the trial of the century!
You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank you enough.
Oh, please don't mention it. We're just here to join in on the fun.
So, you were saying The Little Oceanid?
Yeah. Show. It's an unfinished script left behind by our director. One of our greatest regrets is that she never—
Yeah, we've been battling issues on every front trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the story's all about. The protagonist of the story is a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form, despite the protests of her family. She longed to live just like any other human, and sure enough, she found friendship and even love. Everything seemed perfect. But one day, her true identity was exposed, and her world came crashing down around her.
So far, so good. A classic tale.
Musical to the stage, but people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
We still haven't decided between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
By true to life, you mean the director's sudden disappearance?
Yeah, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment. We have to consider their emotional stake in this, not just our own. And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from two of our main actors. The first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script, but the deadline's passed and we still haven't heard from him. The other is Villemont, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since. He did write to us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since. So we're not really sure what to make of that.
Huh. Although, now that we have Miss Farina helping us, maybe we should take the opportunity to get everyone back together.
What opportunity? What do you mean?
Maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look up to you as a role model.
Oh, stop! You're making me all flustered. Although, not in a bad way. I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues you've been facing. But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time to rally the troops.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1, let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the ending. He went back to Poisson a few days ago, said that staying in a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the feeling of isolation.
I thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite. A friend in need and all that.
Yeah, maybe he could use some company.
Poisson? nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show. So, allons-y. Tout passant!
Who is it?
It's me. Is the script ready?
You came all the way here for that?
Alright. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got some great news.
Nice try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script. I'll be out once I'm done.
Okay then. Look.
Someone told me they'd just seen you in Poisson. I assumed it was a case of mistaken identity. So, you're here.
Oh, it's okay. We can just wait here.
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds...
Things in Poisson now.
Things are on the mend. Please. We all have... And if you're...
Thank you for your work, but for now...
It's okay. Which, to avoid upsetting the peace... I'll look after her now.
Off we go then. Let's take a look up there. I don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. I'm so grateful that Miss Navia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her. It's always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything. You can't get around the obstacles without... Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here. Still, I felt it was self the things. I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me, which, of course, I completely understand and accept. Yeah, I can tell people are watching me. I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful. I used to be terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion or resentment in their eyes. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this after all. I can't let myself see only the things I want to see. How...
There's happening over there?
Probably time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rasula's ship? I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll. And here I am dumping all this.
To see a different side of you.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, and I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be. As I stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind. One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence in an instant. They thought their god would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm. And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true. But then the floodwaters finally came, and the Hydro Archon did nothing.
You shouldn't look at it like that. You were only doing your duty.
I've had to go through so many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth. As time went on, it got harder and harder to bear, and I became more lonely and isolated. Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task, and was haunted by the thought of being left all alone, weeping on my throne. Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst-case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourselves. Everyone rose to their responsibilities, and I finally regained my freedom. But on some level, freedom also means no longer being needed. I have no further use to people.
Paimon would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
I guess so. Back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to confide in. I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was, and exposing a secret I swore to protect. Believe in the Farina you see on stage. She is the one you can trust. I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself. No one could be allowed to know. That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining relationships.
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's gotten into you today. I'm making an effort here. You could at least try to do the same. I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life. Right. It's about time to head back. Paulo should have finished the ending by now.
Sure. Okay, let's head back and check it out.
That's your job.
Are you kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about, it's yours. I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health.
Like they're arguing again. He's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Me? I'm an Oceanid too.
Yes?
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines, too. Like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Osea.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy. She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only us, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me anymore. I spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes. She
sounds like a really incredible person.
She really were. My parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by that point. Yeah.
The day you hoped would never come.
Oh, you're finally done?
Please.
Was feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and faces the greatest dilemma of her life.
And then?
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover. Up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely,
serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
that sounds like too cruel of an ending to me. And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director O'Reilly's death. Both arbitrary. Director O'Reilly had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace. We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
The director was the kindest soul in the world, yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to...
Maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me. Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with O'Reilly.
What? You kept that one quiet.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. We're romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives, that day will never come.
Oh, Paulo.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure